go. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're good. I see the cameras on. The live stream's working. So Emma, what happened was, oh, I'm on the thing, hold on.
Erase it, but it was Debbie Friedman.
Shabbat Shalom. We begin our service with a nigun. Please join us in song.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
I don't hear you at all.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to all in the sanctuary and to those watching in our virtual community. We're so happy to be together. As we say, Hine ma tov u'manayim, how good it is to dwell together as sisters and brothers. For the lighting of the Shabbat candles, Sandy and Sophie, please come up to the bima. It's our honor to have you help us welcome Shabbat into our souls. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lecha likneh shel Shabbat.
Amen, amen. Doesn't it feel a little different after you light the Shabbat candles than before? I love that. We begin our service, page 12, Lechu Naranana. Come, let us sing joyously to God.
Lechu niranena l'Adonai, l'Iriya, l'Tzur Yisheinu. Yismechu shamayim v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam melo, yalo sadai v'chol asher bo, az yiranenu kol atzei ha'ar, lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel betzedek, ve'amim be'emunato.
We're on page 16.
Tevel v'yashveva
תחילה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה. איי איי איי, התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורף קומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה. תוך המוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללה יללה יללה, פני שבת נקבלה. Well, I don't know about you, but I feel a little warmed up right now in the best possible way. Take a moment to say Shabbat Shalom to each other. Welcome a friend, make a new one.
Oops. Yep. Sorry about any
Yeah.
sound issues. Now the mic is on. We won't do that again. Okay, now it may be too loud. So
No,
one.
it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Okay. Okay. We now turn to page 22 for Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינוך. מזמור שיר
Shabbat Shalom. So we started in-person religious school this week. It was incredible. Children in a synagogue is what makes a synagogue, right? It was so good to hear children sing and pray and laugh and learn. It's just what it should be. So obviously, everyone is masked, of course, like you are right now. And it's a challenge to completely pick up on the inferences and nuances of communication when you're wearing a mask, especially with children. You know what I mean? Was that child making a joke, or were they being serious? It's hard to tell with this. Do they look engaged or a little bit out to lunch? Hard to tell. Even with adults, like when I'm giving sermons and looking at you right now. I don't get the same feedback, the same give and take without the mask. And I don't know about you, but I have found it can lead to some misunderstandings, miscommunication, misinterpretation. The other thing that's happening this week is that the best Torah portion in the entire Torah is here. I love them all equally, but it's possible that I love this one a little more. It's Bereshit, the beginning, the first Torah portion, the one that started it all, the one with creation in the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve. It's about beginnings and beginning again. And we, of course, are at a new beginning as well. A new year, a new outlook, perhaps. We began a new semester of religious school this week, as I mentioned. It's a time full of possibility and potential, and if it's been a minute since you've looked over this parasha, I recommend that you take tomorrow, spend 10 minutes, and just read it through. It will be worth it, I promise. And of course, that's exactly what I did to prepare me for tonight, and it got me thinking about misunderstandings. How easy it is to miscommunicate in our times, to interpret something wrong through the Zoom screen or an email, or how to miss a smile when you walk by someone in the hallway and they're wearing a mask and you don't even know what they were thinking. Of course, I'm thinking about the most misunderstood character of all, in my opinion, in Torah, Eve. On the one hand, her story is so beautiful. Adam says, "This one, this time, is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh." So beautiful. And just like that, Adam and Eve are an inseparable pair, connected eternally together. You can't think of one without thinking of the other. But on the other hand, some of the classical rabbis are, I'll say generously, less than egalitarian in their approach to Eve. Why does the woman have to perfume herself, and the man does not have to perfume himself, they ask. They answer, Adam was created from the earth, and the earth never stinks, but Eve was created from a bone. They continue. An analogy, if you leave meat for 3 days without salt, it will stink immediately. That's what they say about Eve. And that's just a tiny sampling. Not all, but that's the level of respect that some of the rabbis have for her. The same level you would have for a rotting piece of meat. And we know she becomes scapegoated mostly through Christian literature for the downfall of man itself. Eve eats from the tree. It's all her fault. There's a poem called The Expulsion that sums it up like this. Adam was happy. Now he had someone to blame for everything. Shipwrecks, Troy, the gray face in the mirror, and it goes on. Basically, they say woman is the downfall of man. So goes this line of what I'll dare to call sexist thinking. But if you look at the text more closely, you see something so different. You see a complete other interpretation. You see that Eve was never given the instruction not to eat from the tree directly. You see that Eve propelled our story forward. You see that she needed to see for herself, to test, to explore, to dare to act. Perhaps more than any other biblical character, she is woefully misinterpreted and misunderstood. When we don't quite see somebody's affect, when their words or their body language or their facial expressions seem a little off, we should think of her. Misunderstandings are so common, so much more now. We can misread people's words and their behaviors. And sometimes, like with Eve, the lens with which we even approach our inferences needs to be examined. I want to conclude with another poem, a counter poem. This one is by the poet Marge Piercy. Her lens on Eve is this. She writes, "You are indeed the mother of invention, the first scientist. Your name means life, finite, dynamic, swimming against the current of time, tasting, testing, eating knowledge like any other nutrient. We are all children of your bright hunger. We are all products of that first experiment. For if death was the worm in that apple, the seeds were freedom and the flowering of choice." Let's be patient in COVID. When we look at something or someone, let's look again. You might be surprised by what you find under that mask. Shabbat Shalom. We turn to the Baruch Hu on page 28 and we rise.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokma poteach she'arim, uvituna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmorotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים.
This next piece that I'm going to sing is a tune to Ahavat Olam that I grew up with, and also to Ki Hem Chayenu. And the first part I like to think of as a bit of a lullaby, thinking of the sweetness of Torah. And the second part is, you'll see, a little bit more Simchat Torah-esque, joyous and a little raucous, and Hasidic inspired. And I think that's a interesting way to think about Torah, and I hope you enjoy this musical midrash.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן, אדוני, אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך. על כן, אדוני, אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך. ונשמח בדברי תורתך. אהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
ואהבת
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We sing the song of freedom, redemption, Micha Mocha, page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף פלא, נורא תהילות אוסף פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי לי 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 ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We now ask God to shelter us in a Sukkot Shalom, a sukkah of peace.
השליבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Amen. us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Oh, Adonai. Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen. Amen.
Vishamru, a song of Shabbat.
Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Please rise.
Ana na 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 Adonai. Ana na 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 sfatai tiftach. Ana na 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 ufi yagid, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ana na 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 Adonai. Ana na 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 sfatai tiftach. Ana na 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 ufi yagid, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue with silent prayer.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki oto melech Adon, לכל השלום
we turn our thoughts to those in our community who are in need of healing, and there are so many. Healing of the body, of the mind, of the spirit. If you're thinking of a loved one and you'd like to share their name now. Okay. Go ahead. We allow for a moment for those of you on the live stream to share a name as well. Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, Hu yivarech et hacholim. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And together we say, Amen.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. We turn to Aleinu, page 282. Please rise.
Aleinu lishabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkidikahem, vegoralenu kechol amonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We think of those whom we've lost recently or at this time in years gone by. We mourn for the loss of Trudy Kaplan, James Aragona, Bunny Zimmer, Gladys Schuker, Robert Friedman, Bernice Shore, Dan Francescan, Robert Carr, Jack Milstein, David Schlanger, Marilyn Berliner, Trudy Owett, Joanne Raskus, Raina Ragonetti, Jean Abrams, Jerry Horowitz, Barnett Berliner, Dorothea Francescan, and Susan Brown. We observe the yahrzeits for Pauline Berkowitz, Paul Eichler, Helen Polevsky, Irving Rothaus, and Elizabeth Wilson. Did I get it right? Wallishin, thank you. We turn to page 294. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach yiratei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam U'Olmei Almaya. Yitparach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
Ve'imru, Amen. Please be seated. We welcome our co-presidents, Fred Bash and Jill Wilkinson, to the Bima for announcements. Shabbat shalom. Sorry about that. Thanks for the correction. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat shalom.
and Shabbat Shalom to those tuning in via live stream. We had a great celebration this week for our Simchat Torah, and it was really quite beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for a lovely service. It's always so wonderful to be here. Coming up, so there's the Women's March is tomorrow, and we have also on Wednesday Ellen Gusenberg-Kent, who's from our congregations. She put together a documentary on 9/11, the children of 9/11 who didn't get to meet their parents. I watched it. I had the opportunity to watch it last weekend. It was quite moving, and she's going to be leading. There's going to be a discussion with her on Wednesday night, so do tune in. But be sure to watch the film ahead of time. You can get a link from Liat. And there's a ton of activities coming up for our Social Action Council. It's really so great to see everything that we're involved in. So any way you can give back, Tikkun Olam, there's so many opportunities. So check the weekly emails, the e-blast. They have all the information. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Have almost nothing to say except Shabbat Shalom, and I'd like to say hello to my dad who's watching on live stream.
Love it. We close our service with words of joy and blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisar Adonai panav elecha v'yisem lecha shalom. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru
Amen.
Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.